On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourself to the priests." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God, except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ. Please be seated. You will notice the next thing in the bulletin says sermon by Pastor Stephen Zeller. And I'm sure if you haven't heard already, he's a bit busy this evening. We're happy to celebrate the birth of Charlotte Catherine Zeller, who was born on Monday late at 11 o'clock at night. And she took all day to get here, but she got here, healthy, 8 pounds. And I understand everyone's doing fine. And I believe just got home today, actually this evening. So we give thanks, certainly at this time of the year, for her safe arrival. And wait to get to meet her and congratulate the family. Well, when all this was taking place on Monday morning, and the first text that came on my phone was from Pastor Kim, who was, I could tell, very calm at that point in time, and said, "By the way, I'm at the hospital. I think we're going to be here, and just wanted you to know." And then a little bit later, the text got a little bit more stressful, you might say, to say, "You might be available for Wednesday evening." I said, "Okay, fine." I sent the next text back and said, "If I am to preach, would you give me a little bit more extra time about that?" And that arrived about yesterday afternoon. "Would you please just do the whole service?" So having said that, my time was a little bit shortened, and so I'm going to be quite honest to say, I went back to look at some of the things that I put together on other Thanksgivings. There was a list I shared about 12 years ago that was a Thanksgiving list, and I'm going to share some of those with you tonight as I did at that point in time. It went something like this: to be thankful for, the mess to clean up after a party, because it means I have been surrounded by friends and family members. The clothes that fit a little snug, because it means I have enough to eat. A lawn that needs mowing, windows that need cleaning, and gutters that need fixing, because it means I have a home. All the complaining I hear about our government, because it means we have freedom of speech. The spot I find at the far end of the parking lot, because it means I am capable of walking. The lady or the man behind me in church who sings off key, because it means that I can hear. The piles of laundry and ironing, because it means I have clothes to wear. Weariness and aching muscles at the end of the day, because it means I have been productive. The alarm that goes off early in the morning, because it means that I am alive. It's an interesting list. What I found helpful about this list is the fact that I find that I rarely give thanks for the mundane, everyday things that happen in my life. When I think of the things I'm usually thankful for, it includes things like my family, or the things I have survived, like a stressful situation or an illness or a good doctor's report. But I don't usually give thanks for the appointment that I have to make with the doctor, or the examination I'm going to have to take, or the waiting for answers, or the diagnosis, the treatment, the worry, the fears. I wonder how many of us ever thank God for the moments of disagreements we might have between ourselves and maybe our spouse or our friend or a parent. I wonder how many of us ever give God thanks for the awful situations we may find ourselves in. Now, I don't mean to suggest that we can only be truly thankful unless we are in the midst of a crisis. And nor do I want to suggest that suffering is a gift from God or that God causes whatever suffering you may endure. Suffering is the result of human choices and relationships. It's the reality of the world we live in. Suffering cannot be determined by someone's actions or their relationship with God. Suffering is a result of living in this world. But enduring that suffering and finding strength to get through whatever seems impossible, these are things that God makes possible. We endure, we survive, and we thrive because God gives us the power and the hope to face whatever comes our way. Every crisis we endure is a gift because it gives us a moment of standing in the power of God. Each moment we struggle to face life, we stand and go forward with the power of God's hope for us and for the world. You know, we live amongst each other. And as we live through what we go through in our lives, we live as witnesses to what God's power and God's hope can do. And this never became more clear to me than during this last year. During the time, I'm going to get over this in just a minute. During the time that Noah was deployed, our son. And during that time, I knew, and I could say a list of names of people who prayed for him every day. And I heard the prayers that were said for him and for us on Sundays when I came to worship. And during that time, there were people who would ask me about him or want to know what was going on. You were living examples of God's power and God's hope for me. We are those signs for each other. And today, as we gather here in this night and as we gather together tomorrow with friends and family, it's a reminder of what we pause for that moment to be thankful for the witnesses that have surrounded us as witnesses to God's power and God's hope in our lives. Being here now means that we wish to remember all that has happened in our lives. We gather to remember how God has been active in our lives, even at times when we wondered if God was there. We bring our food and we bring our thank offering boxes and our money here tonight because we are witnesses again of God's presence in our life during this past year. They are our signs, our witnesses of God's hope and God's power in our lives. And they become witnesses to others. The food fills someone else's body. The money goes towards helping someone else. They become signs again of God's power and God's hope in our lives. You know, there were times while I was in the church that I always wondered, why do we have Thanksgiving as a church service? Because it's a national holiday. And then I was reminded that giving thanks to God and remembering God's mighty acts in salvation has been a ritual that has been handed down to us way back from what we call Old Testament days, or it's a Hebrew ritual. Gathering all the time to remember all the acts of God's salvation in their lives. Like our American holiday, the Hebrew ceremony became a yearly celebration because there was an expectation that God would continue to act, not just giving thanks for what God had done, but that God would continue to act in their lives. They expected God to continue to protect, to guide, to give them strength to live, to face whatever came their way. And so it is with us. Our 2015 calendars will have Thanksgiving Day in the month of November. It's already printed there because we know we expect it to be there when we buy the calendar, that we're going to look to see that it's on the last Thursday in November. But I know it's there, and you know it's there, because I know and I expect God to continue to act. That God will continue to act with us and for us through this next year of 2015. That God will continue to be our God each and every day of another year. And I am confident that no matter what I must face, or what I must decide, or what I will do, that God will be there. God will be there with hope, and that hope will give me the power to persist in whatever may come my way. I look forward to what lies ahead, because each day that each one of us meets along the way gives us another opportunity to walk another day with our God. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And may your Thanksgiving be a time of remembering your journey, your walk, your witness of God in your life. Amen.